Several months ago, a student inside the BetterBelly Blueprint program posted this question into our private group coaching forum. I'm really curious what you think about colonics. I've seen so much hype around them for people who are trying to overcome constipation, and I'd imagine they're obviously not cute, but wondering whether they're even helpful or recommended. I liked this question so much that I saved it so that I could share it here on the BetterBelly podcast so we could have a conversation around colonics. On today's episode, we'll be covering topics like what is colon hydrotherapy, how do colonics work, can colonics complement other natural constipation relief treatments you're doing, and what natural constipation remedies I personally most recommend for complete and long-lasting constipation relief. Whether you're new on your constipation journey or you've been on it for decades, I hope this episode empowers you to get one step closer to complete constipation freedom. Hey friend, welcome to the BetterBelly podcast. If you're currently trying endless supplements, doctor visits, and diet changes to heal your mystery symptoms, you are in the right place. We're here to solve the real root causes behind your gut, hormone, skin, sleep, and brain concerns. Literally anything and everything in your body. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a functional medicine practitioner that has supported over 150 clients just like you to heal problems that no one has been able to fix. You don't need a perfect diet or a random supplement you found on Instagram to heal. You need a proven system that heals your whole body from the inside out. That's what I'm here to share with you, episode by episode. It's time to make health easy again. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. All right, guys. So I have been looking forward to sharing this question and having this episode for a little while. It should be on potentially the shorter side of things. And just to say, I'm going to be sharing more than in my answer than what I even got to share in our Facebook group. So I think this is just going to be a really great conversation to be having. Now, to begin with, I just want to cover what is even colon hydrotherapy to begin with. For any of you who are maybe listening to the BetterBelly podcast, but you've never even heard of this, or you recently heard of it, but there's still gaps in your mind on what exactly are we even talking about. Just a quick overview on what colon hydrotherapy is, or sometimes also called colon irrigation. It involves flushing the colon with water or other liquids to clear it out. And it's different than an enema, where an enema is just a bag of fluid, often water, with maybe some other things inside of it as well, that you then can insert into the anus and allow the fluid to go into the colon, which then can help soften the stool and trigger your muscles of your colon to compress and squeeze and then have a bowel movement. A colonic or a colon hydrotherapy is often with something we call an open or closed system. There's a machine that's actually pushing water into the colon, and you're able to evacuate either continuously, which is what an open system is like, or in like chunks at a time. I've only personally ever done the open system. We are going to talk about my experience with colonics, why I use them, the role that I think that they can or cannot play in your overall constipation journey or gut health is a general gut health thing. But all that being said, it is typically going to be more in depth than an enema, meaning you're literally going to get more stool out than an enema could get. So you can get higher up into the colon, because remember, the colon is huge. It starts all the way over on the left side of your body. So if you press your left side of your belly, it's over there. It goes all the way up right below the rib cage with the transverse colon, and then it goes all the way over to the ascending colon on the right side of the body. You can press the right side of your belly, the squishy part between the hip bone and your rib cage, and that's approximately over where the beginning of the colon is. When you do an enema, you're really only getting the last chunk of stool around the sigmoid colon, but with a colonic or a colon hydrotherapy session, depending on how hard your stool is and how amenable your body is to pulling that stool out, you might get as high as the descending colon and sometimes potentially all the way up into what we call the splenic flexure, which is the turning point from the transverse colon as it goes to the left side of your body and then points down. All right. Maybe that was more anatomy than you were expecting, but it is simply more thorough. That's the summary of all of it. In general, these sessions are going to be taking around 45 minutes to an hour. It is very safe in general, as long as you don't have any like massive bleeding problems inside of the colon. It can be a little painful, especially if the bowel's already very expanded. And so that can just be that the muscular tissues itself will resist the extra fluid or the extra space being taken up by the fluid, similar to the way you might feel with an enema. If you know that enemas are a little uncomfortable for you, you might feel that same way with a colonic, but that is not the case for all people. The water that is going into your colon is typically like body temperature. You can even typically control it. And the 2 times I've had it, I literally can control it. Like I control bath water. So if you want it a little bit warmer, you're usually nice and toasty. And that's it. There's machines involved. You can't do it at home. It's more thorough and it can get stool higher up into the colon. So that's a little bit of what you can visualize with a colonics. Now let's just talk about what I think and what I see, and not just me, but using some science to back it up. Let's not just make this all a matter of opinion. The issue that I see with colonics and all the hype that it gets is that it's often talked about to people who have chronic constipation as a solution or a fix for their constipation, where it's not a solution or a fix. It is not fixing the root cause of constipation. It is a Band-Aid. Band-Aids have their own uses. A good description of a Band-Aid for someone with chronic constipation is simply you feel better afterwards, right? And sometimes I have, I was going to share this a little bit later, but I have an interesting and unique background with colon hydrotherapy or colonics because one of the first places that I ever rented out of for my business when I was doing visceral manipulation was actually at a colon hydrotherapy studio. And so I was cross-pollinating with the colon hydrotherapist, who was a very knowledgeable woman, had been doing this work for decades, had a great heart, loved her. She had a great space that was very calming and safe. But I ended up seeing a lot of the people who were working with her because they weren't getting relief. They weren't getting 5 sessions of colon hydrotherapy and then finally able to poop on their own and everything's fixed. They were having to do colon hydrotherapy once a week, twice a week, or once a week, every other week, once a month, however frequently that they could afford it or that their doctor had prescribed it to them for. They were doing it as a way to manage the fact that they were not pooping at home. It was not fixing the problem. And our main goal on the BetterBelly podcast and in general, when you're really thinking about truly healing, is that you find and address whatever is actually keeping your body from healing, whether that's chronic acne, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, autoimmune conditions. You want to find whatever is putting your body into a flare, find whatever is causing your symptoms. Your body should not be constipated on its own. And if it is, colonics cannot fix the root causes. Now, if you're like, how do you already know that, Allison? A lot of that is trial and error of my own constipation journey where nothing worked for a good solid 2 years. And then it still took me another 5 years on top of those 2 years to kind of work my way into everything that I needed to do to really fully heal and poop consistently. But now I've done that with over 600 clients now where we heal them. And so I grabbed a bunch of our top my favorite episodes on constipation and put them in our show notes. So if you're like, Allison, how do you know what actually causes the root? What are the root causes behind constipation? How can I actually heal? If you want to even just skip the rest of this episode on colonics, you can go to our show notes and check out all the episodes that I linked there. It's definitely not all of our episodes on constipation, If you want all of the episodes, I highly recommend going to betterbellytherapies.com/get-the-vault. And you can actually get all of our podcast episodes organized by category. And one of our categories is constipation. So you'll find all of our constipation episodes there. But I grabbed probably, 6, 7 episodes here. Things like 6 steps to end bloating and constipation naturally, the constipation magnesium myth, why constipation medicine and laxatives are not helping you, how to end 20 plus years of constipation and acid reflux in 3 months. That is a client testimonial. And then 2 more client testimonials on top of that, and 6 years of constipation in 1 month with my client Anitra. So if you want more details on that, I'm not going to get into what are the real root causes behind constipation that no one's talking about. Because let me tell you guys, it's not fiber, it's not drinking more water, it's not chewing your food more, it's not taking digestive enzymes, it's not taking magnesium. It's none of these things. These are not root causes of chronic constipation. And similarly, colonics, you're not constipation because you're colonic deficient, right? Just like if you have chronic pain, you're not ibuprofen deficient, right? So what can colonics actually do for you? Is there any value to them? Well, the main benefit of colonics in my mind is that it can actually get old pebbles of poop and stool out of your colon lining and help create a better environment for your gut microbiome. And especially with these old kind of hard and crusty pebbles of stool that can get in the side of the colon, we also are removing toxic waste and toxic debris that your body's otherwise reabsorbing via into the liver. So that is the main benefit. And guess what? That is relevant. That benefit is relevant whether or not you have constipation. The first time I got colon hydrotherapy, I was already not constipated on a regular basis. No constipation issues. I simply wanted to know, what did it feel like? I wanted to experience for myself. Did I notice any benefit to my energy, my mood, my skin health? Did I glow more? I wanted to know what it was like. And I was not chronically constipated. And I actually find that people who are chronically constipated tend to, again, not see benefits out of the colonics. They simply feel relief that is temporary, and then they get in this cycle of continuing to need colonics, which can be very expensive and time-consuming. So what did I personally experience when I did colonics? Well, interestingly enough, I've done it twice. They were about 1 year apart each time. And both times I had something called a somato-emotional release. 10 out of 10 did not expect this response. But basically what a somato-emotional release is when we engage a certain part of our body that potentially has neurotransmitters stuck inside of it, you can actually have an emotional response unrelated to anything your brain is thinking about. So this isn't related to, I was really anxious about the colon hydrotherapy, and then once it started, I started crying because my anxiety peaked. There was, or like, I was thinking about something really sad and the colon hydrotherapy made me feel more sad. It was literally, Allison is just having a very average day, nothing horribly great, nothing horribly bad, just going and doing something good for myself, ready to have like a spa moment potentially. And I ended up crying in front of my colon hydrotherapist. And not knowing why. I wasn't having any specific memory surface, nothing. That can happen with a somato-emotional release, but somato means body. Soma is old Latin word for body, and then emotional. So it's this body and emotion connection we can have. And people can have somato-emotional releases with lots of hip opener exercises. That's kind of popular to talk about right now in the yoga sphere or in online communities. People talking about moving your body in certain ways can help release emotions that are stored often in tissue that was very stiff or potentially specifically damaged under a high emotional situation. That could be everything from a car accident to more long-term stressors like work. So hips, for example, can get really stuck when you've been sitting in a chair for a long time. And if you experienced a lot of chronic trauma or tension due to workplace issues or something where you were sitting a lot, it can get stored in the hip tissue because there's not a lot of blood flow there. So when I started having the somato-emotional release, I'm like crying. I don't know why. I'm not having any memories. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these feelings. I knew it was a good thing. I was not sad. Like I wasn't freaking out. I've actually guided clients through somato-emotional releases, which is usually just being present in the moment and having self-compassion and waiting for it to pass and just generally observing yourself and saying, how can I support myself after this somato-emotional release? But I deeply, deeply believe that the reason I had a somato-emotional release both times is because I had been so sick and had so much emotional tension and trauma happen to me around being constipated for years and years and years. So I found it super emotionally healing. I did not get a skin glow up. I did not have more energy. There was no like otherwise life-changing experiences that I had, but that was one very specific improvement and I'm grateful for it. But the good news is I don't need to keep using colonics by any means. And I've only done it twice and guess what? I still poop every day. So in general, I told my client who asked about it, I don't have any use for it inside of my work with clients. I don't ever recommend it because I would rather my clients take their time and money and put it somewhere else. And sometimes just not spend their time and money at a location like this, but be resting, doing things for themselves in their own home, going for walks, doing things that are lower cost, simpler, and can still help them center and be themselves. And finding, again, cheaper, more permanent solutions for constipation relief. Because if you are not pooping daily on your own, or at least close to daily on your own, without needing lots of support like magnesium and chewing and the right prayer chant and yoga to poop a little bit, then you have not found your root cause or root causes of constipation. And that's the only thing keeping you from not pooping is you just need to know what those are and how to deal with them in the right order. And that's what we teach inside the BetterBelly Blueprint, my proven process on how to heal the gut from the inside out. Whether your issues are acid reflux or constipation or bloating, or you have autoimmune conditions or hypothyroidism, it helps everything inside the body because the gut is connected to the entire body. So to reiterate, colonics don't fix the root causes of constipation. They can be beneficial in doing some general cleanup and detoxing for the body, but I wouldn't rely on them that much. I prefer to rely on things like coffee enemas. I prefer to rely on things like Epsom salt baths. I prefer to rely on things like not eating foods you're sensitive to, especially maybe it's like you don't know that you have an oxalate overload. And some of our testing in the BetterBelly Blueprint shows you do, and you get off of oxalates and you start feeling better. That's going to be way more effective than the colonics. So I just end up telling my clients, you are welcome to do it, but I don't think they're going to get you as much impact as they're going to cost you. So in this way, I would say colonics are overhyped in the same way that magnesium, probiotics, fiber, et cetera, all get overhyped when it comes to having a healthy gut or healing constipation. So that is it. That is everything I have to say on colon hydrotherapy and colonics. I hope that doesn't sound to anybody like I'm saying never get it or it's all a lie. Nothing about colonics has been is like scientifically unsound or anything like that. I just think that it overpromises things, and unfortunately, a lot of those people who were going to that colon hydrotherapy clinic were actually getting prescriptions from doctors to go there because the doctors had nothing else to give them to truly solve their issues. And so there were people there who they would see me and I would do visceral releases of their fascia and they would start pooping on their own and I would stop seeing them come through that clinic. Or they would start doing lab testing with me and we would find out they had low stomach acid and get rid of H. pylori and find a parasite and deal with their heavy metal problems. And they would start pooping on their own and stop needing to go to that clinic. Or they would choose to because they just enjoy the way it felt. It felt like a spa day to them. But at least it's a spa day. At least it's a choice, a way that you say, oh, this is treating myself, and not like you're expecting it to fix all your problems. So it's really about expectation management and knowing where to put your resources while you're really, if you're really truly trying to heal a chronic constipation or chronic gut health problem. If you are looking for support in any of those areas, I would love, love, love to personally help you with that. We have two options to work together. Number one is joining my signature program, the BetterBelly Blueprint, to help you heal your gut as well as the rest of your body. We have two different ways you can learn about that. One is by going to betterbellytherapies.com/blueprint, and you can read about it. And if you're more of a visual learner, you like slideshows, you like audio, you can watch a free training on it by going to betterbellytherapies.com/training and learn more about how the BetterBelly Blueprint works, even when nothing else that you've tried has worked. And then the other option is we can work together one-to-one as like where I personally build your protocol. I'm analyzing your labs as a VIP client. And again, the BetterBelly Blueprint is actually a group coaching program where I'm teaching you through a course, things like how to know what labs you need and how to analyze those labs, and then how to put protocols together based off of protocol templates that I give you. They're the basis of all the protocols that I create for my clients. So one is a DIY group coaching option, which has worked for hundreds of clients now. And the other one is one-to-one work, where it's usually about saving time and having me personally making these protocols for you and just showing up and getting all the goods. So if you want either of those options, you can go to our show notes. We have links there to join the BetterBelly VIP or to get a free 20-minute application call for the BetterBelly VIP. Go to betterbellytherapies.com/VIP. And again, to join the BetterBelly Blueprint, go to betterbellytherapies.com/blueprint. So I hope this episode was helpful. And if you've never tried Colonics, maybe you can and just see what happens to you. Maybe you don't, and you choose to focus your time and money on finding those true root causes and finally get that freedom from constipation. Because I've never seen anybody stay constipated when they work with us. There's no way that I've never found anybody who cannot heal from constipation. So if you've ever been told that you're just stuck this way, you have to keep taking laxatives every day the rest of your life or whatever it is, that is a lie. It is not true, and you can heal. I believe in you. And again, if it feels right to you, would love to work with you and help you find your solution. So have a great rest of your guys' Thursday. Bye, everybody. Several months ago, a student inside the BetterBelly Blueprint program posted this question in our private group coaching forum. I'm really curious what you think about colonics. I've heard so much hype. Hey friend, I hope you loved this episode. If you've been a fan for a while or newly loving this podcast, can you do me a favor? Drop into Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. When you leave a review, you do so much. You help me know you're listening. You can tell me what you're loving so I know what to make more of. And you help others by boosting this podcast so other people like you can find the podcast too. I mean, it's a win-win-win, right? So if you want a way to pay it forward, just go to Apple Podcasts or click the link in my show notes and leave a rating and review. And if you want some more free stuff, just head over to my free Facebook group, betterbellytherapies.com/Facebook, and you can get access to all of my free support for you, including some Facebook group exclusive stuff like my podcast episode vault, where you can search the BetterBelly podcast by topic and find exactly what you need to expedite your healing. I cannot wait to see you in there. Catch you guys next week.